Okay, so we were discussing about designing a search page, right? We'll start designing our manuals, search page using a manual method where developer write the total logic to implement the search page. Okay, so following are the components of the OAF we have to consider. In the model layer, the business services AM, and in the Vivo, we'll consider the item details Vivo, the page, item search page, and CVO, item search CVO. So for the query purpose, like for the item details Vivo, let's consider this particular query which I have written. So here in the where clause, like it all depends upon what parameter user want to pass. So we can make we would like let us consider that organization code as well as item number as the input parameters. So what we do is it all depends upon how we want to build such criteria. It all depends upon the business requirements, whether they want to have the all the conditions are mandatory or only one condition is mandatory. So all those things nothing but where we have to change the where clause at runtime, or maybe we have to write the appropriate and or clauses. So in our case, let's make only one parameter as a mandatory. I mean to say, if user enters only one parameter, it still has to display the results. So now what we do is and msb.segment1 is equal to :1 or OOD dot organization code is equal to :2. So now if user gives at least one parameter, it will give the result, right? Okay, let us consider this query now. Create the Vivo, new Vivo object. It should be a read-only access. Next. So there is nothing to change, just go with this one. Just click on next. It will validate the query. Yeah. Now, okay. Yeah. So these are the attribute mappings. We generally call this as attribute mappings. So here, if left hand side, if you see, it's called segment1, which is in a capital letter it is showing, but on the right hand side, it shows the view attribute as segment1. And observe this one. It shows the query column as organization underscore name, but it shows the view attribute as organization name. So what do you mean by this view attribute and what do you mean by this query column means? In the query, whatever the query we mentioned in the view is with the column name organization underscore name. But in the Java terminology, it will refer to the view attribute. So nothing but in the page also we will refer to this particular column to get the data or to set the data. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll show you that. Now click on next and next, next. Yeah. Now can you see here? It is saying that like what files you want to generate. In the view object class, item details Vivo IMPL. So when you create a Vivo, whenever we create a Vivo, by default it will generate one Java file and one XML file. Okay. So in the Java file, by default you'll not have any code, but it will extend OA view object IMPL, which is a standard Java library which provides a Vivo functionality. And also it will generate one XML file. This XML file will have the information about the query which we mentioned in the view. So let's click on finish. Now we can observe that details also again. So where is our Vivo? This is the one. Item details Vivo. If you observe Vivo.xml here, just double click on this one. It shows the total information like what is the Vivo, what is the object type, all the information, the query, these all the things, the data type of each and every parameter, these all the things. Okay. Now coming to the Vivo, this is just a plain Java file which will extend the standard Java file, OA Vivo object IMPL. Okay. Assign the Vivo to the AM now. Assign the Vivo to the AM. Sorry. What happened? Okay, and click on apply. Yeah, so when after assigning the viewer to the aim, automatically, in the AM, the code for the view will get generated. The get method for the view will get generated. Can you see? Get item details viewer here.
Yes.
So this will get generated only after assigning the viewer. Before that, you will not have any code. If you remove it, that get method will be removed. If you remove the viewer from the AM, the get method will be removed automatically. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. So now in the web UI, let us create the page as well as controller. UI components, page, item details, PG. So remember the suffixes, remember the naming conventions. Okay.
oh,
This is very much important, especially in the Java area. Now set the properties. Main region, aim definition, item details, item details. To just understand, I'm writing WT and PT, but generally you'll have the same name most of the pages. Item details, window title as well as page title, we prefer to give the same name.
yes.
Now create the controller, set new controller. So always remove this web UI which is shown twice, and make sure that name is same as the page name, but with the suffix CU. Item details CU. Now our page is ready, but only thing is we have to create the appropriate regions. So as we already know that, like a search page always will have the search criteria as well as result region. Nothing but a page will be divided into two regions. So now main region is a top level region. Now we would like to divide the page into two regions. So what we do is I will create two regions. One is both are header regions only. So on the main region, simply right click and click on new region and perform the same action again on the main region. On the main region again, perform right click, click on new region. Okay, so region 1 as well as region 2. So the region 1 I would like to name it as search criteria region. Okay, or just simply search region like this. This is my search region. So in the text also I'll mention search. So in the region 2 I'll name it as results region. Results region. I'll just say results. Now in the search region, what we require two input parameters. One is item number and other one is organization code. So right click on the search region, click on new item, and again perform the same action. Search region, click on new item. So we got two items. So this item one, name it as item number ID, and so there are only one parameter we have to change. This is just a prompt, that's it. Other things go with the default. At this point of time, it does not need to change any of those things. Simply mention enter item number. Now on the item 2, mention organization code ID, and nothing to change, just a prompt, visual prompt, enter organization code. Okay, now in the results region, what we want to do, from where we'll get the results?
From Vivo.
From Vivo. So nothing but what we have to do, we just need to create a table region based on the Vivo, because based on the search criteria we may get multiple data, right, multiple rows. So we require the table region. So table region we can create using a wizard, or we can create it manually. So in the forms also you'll have a wizard options, right?
Yes.
Or in the report builder also you'll have a wizard option. So here also, like for few of the regions, it provides a wizard options based on the Vivo. Either we can create using wizard option or we can use manual operation. So but to easier our development, we always prefer wizard option.
User.
So now right click on the result region, but later on I'll show you the manual way also. Okay, because sometimes you require the manual way also, but initially we'll just go with the wizard. Click on new and click on region using wizard. Region using wizard. Click on next. Okay, now we have to select item details view. See here, if you understand why the reason we have to design our data model first, this is the reason. Because to construct a page, you require a data model. So unless you construct a data model, you cannot design a page. That's the only reason we create the data model first. Okay, select your item details view, click on next. Now here, make sure this region style is appropriate one. So I'll select table here and give appropriate region ID, table region like this. Because when you're working with a complex page, like if you don't give the appropriate region IDs, it becomes very difficult to understand what region and what parameters it is having. There's the reason have appropriate region ID with appropriate viewer conventions. Click on next. Now these are the columns which are available. So select all the columns as of now. Click on next. Now this is a read-only page, so make sure that you select message style text. Okay. Now if you want to change the prompt here, this is a prompt which will be visible to the user. You can just mention the appropriate parameter here. Item number, item description, okay, organization ID, organization code. Leave it like that, okay. And later on also you can change. Later on also after generating this particular table region also, you can still change it. Click on next and finish. That's it. Okay. So let us see how the page looks like. So now what code and where to write? So any idea what code we should write, where to write?
We need to write the code in controller.
Okay. So only controller is enough, or? Yeah. So now we got this.
As well as on aim also.
Yeah, right. So controller as well as AM. So now we got this particular two parameters input as well as a result region. And we forgot one thing. We require button also, right? We require a button to handle the event. So on the search region, what we do? As of now, the formatting is not good, but let's go with the same. Now let's create a submit button. Go. Okay. So now when a user clicks on go, we need to call AM method and pass the parameters. So first of all, write the code in the AM. So come from the data model always again. Write the code in the data model first. Okay. Don't write the code in the CO. Better write the code in the AM first. So inside the AM class, observe here, inside the AM class, write the new method. Public void initialize item details vivo. So this name can be anything. It's not that it always has to be init something like this. It can be any user defined name, but to just understand the name, because if you are again having a complex code, it becomes difficult for you to understand which method is for which vivo. So that's why to understand easily, init means initialize item details vivo, nothing but your vivo name, simple. So by this you can easily understand, okay, this code is for the appropriate vivo. Now what we require, so we are expecting that it has to pass two input parameters, right? One is org ID, sorry, first item number str and org ID or code str. So these are the two input parameters which we'll get from the CO. Now what we require, so we require our vivo object and get the object instance. Now we always need to write this method called clear cache, and we also need to set where clause null initially, because in this particular framework, like whenever you are setting the values, whenever you're executing the query, if it is having a where clause condition, always you have to clear these parameters. Clear cache, set where clause null. And after that, bind each and every parameter. Bind each parameter. Set where clause param. Can you see? Set where clause param. So now what are the parameters? The first parameter is item number. And second parameter is or code str. and finally just call the method execute query. Do you see any difference in the parameter here? I mentioned 0 for the item number, 1 for the organization code. But in the query, 1 was for the item number and 2 was for the organization code. The only difference is in the SQL terminology, the array index starts from 1, but in the Java terminology, the array index starts with 0. That's the difference. Okay, that you have to remember. Okay.
Okay.
So in the query, the index starts with 1 because of the SQL terminology. In the Java terminology, the array index starts with 1. So we have to go with, sorry, in the Java it starts with 0. Okay. Now what we have to do? Now we have to call this particular method from the CO. So open the CO, item detail CO here. Now where we have to write process request or form request?
Process request.
No, process form request. It's after load, right? Process request is called during page load. Because until unless user clicks on go, we cannot display data, right? Because it's a search page, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Understood the difference? It all depends upon your
Yes.
requirement also. If you want to display the data, now let us say some requirement will be, let us say, like in this particular scenario also, let us say that if you have a requirement to display the data based on your organization information by default, and you want to display the data by default, then we can write the code in the process request.
Process request.
But in our case, let us say that I don't have a requirement to display data on load. I would like to display the data only after user enters the parameter. Then I have to write in the process form request. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Now this is the code for handling the button. But how do you get the data from a particular component? Now we have to retrieve the data from the message text input component. So there are different ways of getting the data from a text input component. Very easier one is just mention a parameter org id, item number str. This is my string variable, and what I can do. So if you remember, the page context is the object which will have the information about all the parameters, right? All the parameter values. So now what you can do, page context dot get parameter and mention the bean ID. So what is the bean ID? Item number ID, right?
Yes.
Item number ID. So this is one way of getting the value. This is one of the easiest way. Okay. There is another way, but we'll discuss it later. Organization code str. Get parameter. So see here, I'm not typing the full things. I don't even need to remember all the things also. So what you do is, while typing, just type the initial letters, and after that just mention control space bar. Control space bar. So automatically it will show the list of things which are matching with the criteria what you mentioned there. Okay. Control space bar. Now mention the double quotes and mention your ID. Organization code. Now we got the parameters, right? We got the two parameters. And to have the full screen for the appropriate Java file. Now here, it is not showing the full screen. It becomes very difficult for the developer to write the code. What we have to do is just double click on this particular file name like this. So it will expand the total place for you to write the program in an easier manner. Now we have to call the AM method. Nothing but we have to get the object instance for the AM. So what is our AM? Cisco. Now here also, what I will do is I will not type anything. Just type the initial name, and automatically it will mention the class name. It will automatically import for you. Press Alt Enter. That's it. Page context got application module. See now one more thing here. Observe carefully. Now here application module is there. Get application module. So is it showing input parameter for you or not? Is it showing that we have to pass some input parameter?
Yes.
So this is
This
how
is
we have to,
not showing.
no, observe carefully. So get application module, inside this one it is showing that OA web bin, isn't it?
Yes.
So it means that the method name is get application module. We have to pass an object of type OA web bin. That is what it says.
Oh,
Okay, so this is how we have to observe that whether a particular method is having a parameter or not. Now if you see other one, get application name, what it is doing? It requires one string object.
yes.
So this is how we have to identify which particular method is having what name, what parameter. Now here we have to pass a webbean object. So where is a webbean object? So it is available here, right? In this method, webbean. Can you see?
Yes.
Webbean. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Now we have to typecast. Perform a typecasting. Okay. So typecasting in the Java is nothing but like a to underscore char functionality what you have in the SQL. We're converting one data type to another data type.
Okay.
So now what is the method name? So just type am dot init
Init.
init init item details vivo and see here it shows the two strings, right?
Two parameters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Two parameters you have to pass. It also clearly mentions which parameter first. See here, can you see item number str,
Yeah.
organization code str. Item number is the first one, organization code is the next one. That's it. Now let's run the page. Okay. Now if I click on go, what will happen without entering data?
It display the data. We're not
It'll-
mentioning any mandatory parameters in here.
Now one parameter is mandatory, right? In our case, at least one. Did, do you see the query? At least one is mandatory, right? And inside this we have either A or B, either item number or organization code. So this and
Okay.
right, it requires this particular inside the functionality should be true, right? You can see now.
Yes.
If you don't give details, it will not display any data, right? So if I click on go, nothing will display. No results found. Can you see? Initially it was no search
Yeah.
conducted. Now it is no results found. So whenever you see this information, you have to understand that the Vivo got executed, but it did not return any rows. That is what it means. Okay. Now let's enter the valid item number and see what will happen. Let me execute this one. So let us have enter this item number F80,000 and click on go. Got it? So this F80,000 is matching with these number of like this is displaying this multiple data, right? Because we just mentioned item number. We have not mentioned what is the organization code. But let us say if I mention organization code, what will happen? We have to get only one record, right?
Only. Yes.
In a
Only one
item
record.
number is unique in a given organization. Can you see why we are getting multiple records?
Yeah.
Why? We should get only one record, right? Why are we getting multiple records? This is a Java problem or query problem or logic issue? Our query is having OR condition, right? It will satisfy only one condition, not both conditions, isn't it? Even if you enter both values, it will not satisfy both conditions, isn't it? Are you getting?
Uh,
Got it? Because it will
not,
satisfy only
not yet.
organization code. It will satisfy organization code. So V1 is getting
Okay.
satisfied. It will not bother about item number now. You got it?
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
But see, as a developer, we can understand this particular, as a developer, we can clearly understand, okay, what we have written, and then that is why it is getting displayed. For the business user, for the business user, will he accept this particular functionality? Business user says, no, I entered two parameters. I have to get the data of only these two things. Why are you displaying other item numbers, right?
Yes.
He will say this. He will say simply say that I am giving the appropriate criteria. I have to get only that specific data. I should not get all this data, isn't it? That will be the user issue. So now what we have to do? So the logic which we have written will not work. Okay. So but so far we'll discuss about that later. But as of now, are you clear what we have written?
Open the logic.
Yeah. Which one? CO or AM?
Both.
No, first which one you want to see?
AM.
Okay, AM. Yeah. So AM we have written this particular code, line number 15 to 23.
Here where we have to mention the once click the go button,
Hmm.
uh, the data will display in the second region.
Okay.
I
Hmm.
have I
Hmm.
have two regions.
Right.
One is header region,
Hmm.
where we have to mention particular data set into the other region.
Okay. See, there is nowhere we'll mention where to display the data in the page. That is the first basic thing you have to understand here. So when a user clicks on a go button, so in the Java code, there is nowhere you'll mention in which region of the page you want to display the data. But how it is getting displayed is, see here, this particular region code, observe carefully. 1 minute. Yeah. So this item details page, we created the table region, right? This table region. So these each and every attribute, if you observe, this region was created based on which Vivo? This Vivo instance, isn't it? Item details Vivo 1.
Yeah.
These all attributes based on this particular Vivo. What will happen is, whenever the data in the Vivo gets refreshed, automatically all the Java objects which are using this particular Vivo will get refreshed. So that is automatic functionality which will happen. It's a background functionality. We does not need to mention mandatorily that each and every attribute please refresh the data like that. We does not need to do that. So now the thing like here what will happen is, let us assume that user clicks on a go button and you will call the AM method and we are simply executing the Vivo. So what is happening? Automatically the region is getting refreshed, isn't it? Observe here again. Let us say now I'll just click on go. I have not given any parameters. Automatically this particular below region will get cleared. See here. It will say no results found. Can you see?
Yeah.
So how it is happening? It all depends upon the data in the Vivo. Now the Vivo which was used by this table region does not have any data. So the Vivo does not have any data and automatically the region will get refreshed. So this refresh functionality will happen in the background automatically. That is the responsibility of the framework. We does not need to write anything here.
Yeah.
See, I'll tell you. Let us say in your RDF report, you'll have the repeating frame and you'll have the appropriate columns. Based on the parameter, automatically the repeating frame will execute. So are we writing any code to execute the repeating frame?
No.
That's execution done automatically and refresh will be done automatically, isn't it?
Yes.
Same thing here also. We have a repeating frame. I have the columns. I am giving the parameter. I'm hitting the execute button. So based on the input conditions, my data group, my Vivo will get execute and the resultant information in the repeating frame or the Vivo will get refreshed and the region will get refreshed. Got some idea?
Okay. Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So remember the flow. Now understand this particular flow clearly. Okay. So now As a user, we have the OAF page in the browser, right? Next, I have the CO. Whenever I click on go button, what will happen? Whenever I click on go button, which is getting called? Which page, which particular file will get called?
AM.
No, again you're wrong. See, I'll write clearly here. See, now this is my initial page in the browser, item search page. Now user will click on go. So where is the go button? Go button is a part of a page, right?
Yes.
Right? When I click on go button, which method it will call?
Get details method in the CO.
Yes. So it will call the CO method, right? In the CO, where it
Yeah.
will go? First of all, it will go to PFR, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
In the PFR, we have written one if condition. It will go there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And after that, in the if condition, whatever the AM code which you have written, it will go in the AM method, isn't it? So in the then in the if condition, as per the condition, whatever we have written, it will go to the AM, isn't it? Correct?
Okay.
So after this, in the AM, we have written get item details Evo. It will go here. Sorry, init item details, right? Init item details Vivo. So it will go here. So this particular one, what it will do? It will call the Vivo instance, isn't it? It is calling the Vivo instance and it is executing the data. It is executing a particular query,
Yes.
and execution is nothing but it has to hit the database, right? When you're opening a cursor means it has to refresh, it has to get the data from database. It has to call the SQL engine to get the data. Nothing but it has to hit the database. Got it?
Yeah.
So I'll write in a easier way, just understand here. You have a page. So whenever you hit any event, always CO will get called, and the CO always has to call the AM because the business logic will be always be available in the AM, and the AM has to call the appropriate Vivo because AM is just a parent. The children has to take an action. It has to call the Vivo method. The Vivo will always hit the database. Simple, right? This is
Mm.
called onion layer in the OAF. Okay,
Okay.
user interface, event handling, and business logic. Then database. See, just understand a normal way. You don't try to buy hard. Don't try to buttify. What you do is just understand a normal scenario. You have a user interface. When you click on it, there should be some event listener, right? So it has to call the event handler. So what it has to do? It has to perform business logic. So business logic has to be written in the model layer. The business logic always depends upon the database because our pages always will be transaction based, right? The page will not have any data on its own. It has to call the database only. Okay,
Okay.
got some idea?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So total OA framework will be based on this particular functionality. This seems very simple, but this is the total core of your OAF training. If you understand this, you can write any code anywhere, wherever you want, which place you want, why you want to write. All these things will happen. Okay. Anyways, while coding,
Okay.
you'll understand more, but just remember this. Okay. You'll get clear picture one by one. Not initially, it will be very difficult to understand, but still, just remember this particular hierarchy. You'll get the idea. Okay. Let's design the other page. Okay. Now, initially, we got this particular issue, right? Like as per the logic, it seems correct, but as per the requirement, the business user may not understand this particular functionality, right? Because we are giving one parameter, but it is considering only one parameter, something like that. There is some particular bug in this one. Okay. Now let's design the bug-free page. What we do is, let's say, I'll try to choose another page, which will have some two input conditions like this. Uh, what shall we choose? Okay, I'll choose this one. OE order header false, sales order details. Now, header ID, org ID, okay, order underscore number, okay.
Okay.
So this is my data. Okay. Now let's say I would like to consider two input parameters. One is org ID and other one is order number. Okay. Now here,
Oh,
just now we observed that, here, first thing is the conditions are not mandatory, right? I mean to say at least one condition is true at any point of time. But as per the SQL query logic, if you write where condition here itself, what will happen? The logic will fail, isn't it? Because only one input parameter is mandatory, and if you pass two parameters, it will not satisfy two things. Nothing but we have to mention. I'll show you clearly here. Either we have to write logic and org ID is equal to something like this, or and order number is equal to something like this. Either we have to have two AND conditions, or whether we have to add only one condition, isn't it? That is how the query should be,
oh,
isn't it? Either you should have,
yes,
either here instead of org ID we should have order number, or in the second case we should have AND condition for both the cases. Having org ID as well as OR, if you write logic like this, let us say if you write logic and org ID or order number, what will happen? Again it will fail, isn't it? Because it will satisfy either org ID or order number. Even if you mention two parameters, it will still satisfy only one condition. That's again a failure, isn't it?
yes,
So
yeah,
again, this may not be a final one. It all depends upon your requirement and depends upon your different thinking and other things. Okay. So I'm just telling what is the thing, what is the best thing I know. Okay. Now what I will follow is I'll just mention the query. I will not add any where clause. I'll just copy the only query. Okay. I will not mention where clause. Now what we do, like order details, search. Okay. Order details, PG. So if we consider the model layer and the view layer, CO details, CO. Okay. Order details, view. Okay. Now go to the page. Sorry. Go to the server package. Mention, perform a right click here. Click on new Vivo. Mention the query. No where clause here because you'd like to bind it where clause at runtime. So the way you bind the lexical stuff in the RDF report. But in lexical parameter you have to mention a parameter here, right? But here there's no parameter. We can simply bind the total where clause at runtime. Okay? No lexical, no parameter here. Next and finish. Now assign the Vivo to the AM. Okay. Now create a page. Order details page. Set the default stuff. Order details. Okay. Now in the main region, what we require? We can require controller, set new controller. Okay. Or details Evo. So we require two regions, right? The same thing. It's criteria region as well as result region. So in the main region, I'll create new region. Again, right click on the main region, create one more region. Okay.
mm,
So in the region 1, which is my search criteria region, search region. So in the search region, I require three things, right? One is two input boxes and one submit button. So this time, observe carefully here. The search region, because like the page, if you observe the last page, can you see the item number, something like this? The look and feel is not good, right? Nobody prefers to design the
Yes.
page like this. Now we are getting into some particular style. So what you do is in the search region, perform a right click and click on new region. Okay, new region, and here change the region style to message component layout. Change the region style to message component
Yes.
layout. Okay, and in the message component layout, so it shows the name as region 3, right? Just maybe you can rename that. Let us say message layout region. Now in this layout region, perform a right click and create your text input boxes. See here, the message in the message component layout region, we can create only message type
Yes. Yes.
components, text input, LOVs, like that. You cannot create the action buttons. You cannot create you cannot have the action button here. But I'll show how we can do that. So as of now, create two text input boxes. You can also perform copy paste, Control C, Control V, like this. Now one is order number str, order number ID, and another one is org ID. Org ID. Okay. So here, but we require a button, right? What you do is on the message layout region, perform a right click and click on, there is one more layout. In the message component layout, again we have one more region called message layout. Click on message layout. So in the message layout, perform a right click now, create new item. So it shows you can create any region as well as item here, new item. Now change this item style to submit button and go. Okay, that's it. Now in the region 2, which is our result region, result. In the results region, perform a right click here, region using a wizard, click on next, select the Vivo, mention the appropriate style here, table region, table, next, select all the columns here, click on next, set them to style text, okay, and finish. Okay, now we have to write the
Okay.
code in the AM, right? So click on AM here and click on the Java file, and inside this one write the code. So same thing, but this time it is quite different, right? We have to write the appropriate conditions, where clause, these all stuff. Public void init order details. So as of now, I'm not considering IDs. I'm just considering all of them as string. Okay. Later on, we'll discuss how do you convert the data types. Okay. Now here we have to build the where clause. Okay. There are different ways again.
Okay.
We can write in a different way. Either you can build the where clause and write it, or you can just simply bind it. Okay. See, now the first thing is, anyways, we have to consider the condition. If order number str is not equal to null, and we also need to check the empty string here. Not only null, we have to check the empty string,
Empty.
because this particular page context.get parameter returns the empty string also, not only null. So now here it means that you have a value in the order number, right? That is what it means. here it says that odd, if this particular condition, what it says, order number is not null and it is not empty as well as it is not null, right? And we have to check.
Yes.
Let us say for the first condition, what we do is let us check both the values. Let us check both the values. Okay. And
Sir, list.
sorry,
No,
we got some extra. Okay. Now this is correct. Okay. So you just like whenever you have larger number of parentheses, just understand like this. Just highlight something, highlight any on the braces. It will simply recognize the right or left appropriate to it. Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Now the first thing is you are identifying whether both the things are there. If both the things are there, now write like this. So in this one again, there are different ways of writing it. So here what I can do is, so you can also build a where clause. Initially, I'll just say null. What is the value here? So based on the SQL query condition, org underscore ID as well as order underscore number, right? Org underscore ID is equal to :1 and order number is equal to :2. So now we are building the where clause and set the parameter here itself. Vivo dot set var class. We have to pass the where class string. Okay. We have
Okay.
to set the parameter where class param 0 comma org. What is the first one? Yeah, organization ID.
Okay.
Set where class param. One is order number. It all depends upon how you write the query, which one first you want to pass. Okay. And the same way we have to write two more. Else if for the org ID, else if for the order number. Got it?
Okay.
I'll just copy paste. So what you require here? Else if, and let us consider only one condition this time, right? In this case, only one condition. So we require order number only. Order number. So here you have to pass 0, right?
Yes.
So the same way,
Yeah.
one more. See, there are different ways of writing a logic. Okay, this is not the only thing. Just like once we get expertise, you will get more ideas, and based on that, you can reduce the coding. You can write the different logics. Else if, now we have to pass the this time organization ID.
Okay.
Okay. So here one more thing, like a clear cache set where class null. Yeah. So always use this one also. Set where class param also null. This one also use it. And finally, after setting a where class and setting a where class param, and finally call the evo.execute query method.
Last one Vivo dot set to where class param.
Hmm.
Yeah. Here 0 or 1.
No, it is. See, always remember this one.
Below, third one.
Yeah, that's what like here. This SQL query logic with the 1 index and Java logic with the 0 index.
Okay.
See, this is a query, right? always the query will have the index starts with 1. That is your
One.
real SQL logic, right? But in the Java, always index starts with 0 only. That's why I mentioned here 0, 1 and here 0, again here 0, right?
Yeah.
Out of these three conditions, at least only one gets satisfied at any point of time. And here, let us say if user enters both the values, what is happening here? 1 and 2 I mentioned, but I'm binding with 0, 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Now call the method from the CO. Okay. Now call the A method. Init. Order number first. I think
The
something
second
wrong.
string is
Yeah.
uh, automation.
Yeah. So here, click on this bulb and it
Typecasting.
shows typecast. That's it. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's run the page. Now, can you see search region how it is looking?
Yes.
That's right. Center aligned.
Yeah.
Looks in a proper way. Now, order number mention. Click on go. So we got one record, right?
Yeah.
And let us say I'll mention 600 here and click on go. How many records will get?
Only one record.
Yes, only one should show. Let us say I'll remove both the parameters and click on go.
No,
So how many records will get?
no MD. Empty.
Are you sure?
Yes.
But we'll get multiple records. Observe. Again, there is one more bug. Got it?
Yeah.
Do you know why? There is a bug is here itself. See, because here we have three if conditions. We mentioned appropriate where clause and everything. But what are we doing finally? And just simply calling vivo.execute query, right? Even if none of the if condition gets satisfied, we're simply executing it, isn't it?
Yes.
See, first thing is, like here, if your requirement is such a way that if at least one is mandatory, we have to stop calling the business logic itself, isn't it? If your requirement is at least one condition is mandatory, you have to stop calling the database layer. You have to stop calling the model layer. Simply you have to stop at the CO level itself. Got some idea? Or? Yeah,
Direct execute the execute query.
no, the logic which we have written in model layer is fine. But the thing is, what I'm saying is, you have to stop calling the AM if your parameter condition is not satisfied, because our requirement is at least one is mandated, right? Where are we writing that?
Yes.
Where are we writing that? We are not writing that, right? We have to write this logic. We have to write this logic in the C1 level. What we have to do here is, so here while calling the AM, simply we have to check order number not equal to null, and again empty string logic we have to check. Okay, sorry. What we can do is, if order number is equal to null and arg id is equal to null, or this equals empty string equals order number. So do you know why I'm writing double quotes first rather than writing order number first?
Double quotes for empty string.
Yeah, that is right, but I can also write like this, right? Rather than writing, I can write org id equals, okay, this is also correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I should not, see, remember, don't write like this. Don't write org id equals empty string. Why? Because if your org id itself is null, you're comparing null with empty string. So it will give a null pointer exception. Okay.
Okay.
That's why you have to write like this. If your string does not have any data, and how it allows to compare. Okay. That's the reason.
Okay.
Now I can just say throw, this is one more shortcut method, throw new OA exception. I simply calling the new object instance. I'm not even creating any object. Of course it will call the object, but I'm not assigning it. That's it. I'll not even mention the type. And here I don't have any else condition. Observe carefully whether it will call the AM method or it will just simply stop there. Wantedly I'm not writing any else condition. Okay.
Okay.
So whenever you have any parameter condition logic, mostly you have to solve the logic in the CVO itself. Because this parameter condition is not the major business logic, right? Of course it's a business logic, but still the thing is, the logic is based upon the parameter. It does not involve any database information, isn't it? If it involves some database
Yeah.
information, maybe then you have to write in the database layer, nothing but model layer. Now just click on go. So again there is one more flaw it seems, right? So it is not entering that particular condition. So to understand very easily what you can do, because here I'm not sure whether it is giving null or it's giving empty string. So that is why this AND condition will never satisfy. See, generally either it can be null or it can be empty. So we mentioned
And
AND, that's the reason it is not doing anything. So if you are not clear, simply print the log order number str. Okay. Because sometimes like the basic things maybe like it is very difficult to understand this, so better just simply print the log, you can simply understand them. Either in the PL SQL or a SQL or Java, always this null is a major roadblock or major like important thing you have to consider. It plays a crucial role, the null value. Click on go and just see here. Can you see? It is not null, it is just empty string here. It is just empty string. Understand? It is empty string.
Yeah.
So now, so the null condition I have to remove. So because null and empty, it cannot happen. Either it can be empty string or it can be null, not both. Okay, now let us try. Now click on go. Got it? Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So these are the real-time bugs which you generally come across. Your code seems fine, everything fine, but still you'll not get the data. Now we got single record, right?
Yes.
Single record. Now I'll remove this one. Click on go. Got multiple records because based on our
Yes.
guide.
Multiple. Yes.
Let us say I'll remove this one. Click on go. Error. Clear?
Yes.
So now here if you observe what is happening after raising exception, it is not calling further, isn't it? Here in the if we I that's why just if was enough. I does not need to write again else something like this. Because whenever it raises an exception, it will not go further at all. So whenever you have some logic to be written, you have to write before exception itself. Okay,
Okay.
fine. Okay, so
Okay.
okay, so we'll stop for today. Okay.
Okay.